Coming up on the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, we talk about the recent coaching changes with Ole Miss and what they mean and what's going to come of them, and basically talk specifically about Sam Carter, who was just hired to come to coach cornerbacks from Arkansas, where he coached the same. We'll give you an idea of where we think the Jackson Dark and Michael Trigg saga is at the moment. We'll talk about what we think is going on. Not a lot of info today. Caleb Williams is kind of the newsmaker. We'll talk about that. And we'll also talk at the end about how Cameron Butler has been offered by Ole Miss as an end. Just when we think we're done with the transfer portal, another pops up. And that guy provides something that is Sam Williams-esque. But anyway, this is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. First of all, thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Do us a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and hit the bell for notifications whenever we post a new video. We will have that for you as well. You'll know right there. They have a great notification system at YouTube. Everybody should take advantage of that. All right. Sam Carter hired as the cornerbacks coach for Ole Miss from Arkansas. He coached the corners where a walk-on picked off Matt Corral 3 times in Fayetteville in 2020. 6 picks overall. Now, a lot of it is that drop 8 defense, and Matt Corral had to learn how to deal with that. But they still made the plays when they needed to make it, and a walk-on made 3 of them against Matt Corral. That's not nothing, and people can discount it if they want to. They can do whatever they want to do with it. That is not nothing. Now, the thing that this tells me is that we are going all in on the 3-2-6. I know people have been wanting some kind of a change and everything. I'll put it like this. In 2003, Ole Miss ran the 4-2-5. Ole Miss that year went 9-3. Finished second in the West, lost on a tiebreaker to LSU, lost the game at Oxford. By the end, the defense was really salty. But early in the year, Texas Tech threw for over 600 yards. And the defensive coordinator at Ole Miss at that time was a man named Chuck Driesbach. And it's funny because that was like the next year I was at Ole Miss, working in the building. But I never met Chuck. Chuck was there in 2003. And he ran a defense that was the 4-2-5. Now, there's a certain segment of people that only want their football to be exactly as they know their football. The defense is either a 3-4 or a 4-3. Never the two shall meet. And then it became the 4-2-5 and the 3-2-5. And now it's the 3-2-6. As spread offenses become more prevalent in college football, these defense and light box defenses, especially against offenses where counting numbers is the name of the game, these light box defenses can force offenses to do what you want them to do. You want somebody to run the football against 5 in the box, or what looks like 5 in the box, but the reality is you have 8 people assigned to the run game. And that person in the back that doesn't look like he's in the box, he is really hauling butt for his fill. So even though it looks like only 5 people are covering the run on that play and you have a numbers advantage, you are actually at a disadvantage. And that's the reason this defense is so effective, because it takes away against simple counting offenses and puts them at a disadvantage and makes them do exactly what you want them to do. That is why this defense got so good at the end of the year when they started mixing it up a little bit. No defense is going to be good where you do the same thing every play. And Jake Springer being out affected that against Arkansas and against Alabama. As the season went on towards the end of the year, the defense got better and better and better, and I'm expecting more of the same to happen next year. Now, with the hiring of Sam Carter as a cornerbacks coach, you have a guy that is familiar in that system, because Barry Odom does run a version of the 3 safety system. Whether we're talking about what Baylor used to do, what we did last year, what Iowa State does, he does a version of it. It might not be exact, But he, like I said, he does a version of it. And Sam Carter being able to teach defensive backs exactly that part of it. This provides a fit that honestly Terrell Buckley didn't have. Nothing against T-Buck. I'm a huge T-Buck guy, but in the 3-2-6, he honestly didn't have the wherewithal to coach in that scheme because he's a man guy. He wants to line up and play 4-3 cover 1 and let's go. Let's get on it. Let's dominate the outside guy. There's no deception. There's no anything that's going on with the defensive backs that happen in the 3-2-6 in that system. So he struggled a little bit to learn it. And because of that, the extra time he spent learning it, what he had to do, recruiting suffered a little bit. So it's imperative that you have people comfortable with what you're doing, coaching what happened. Recruiting this year, I mean, Ole Miss is 24th in the country and everybody expected a huge year. I'm not saying it was a bad year by any stretch of the imagination, but it could have been even better. And because these coaches basically had to relearn a system and make themselves experts in the system, because for you to master anybody requires repetition. That requires coaching it as well. You need to be able to tell players exactly what they need to do. But you need to have the confidence to relay that where the players will believe you in the future. And that's a taxing, time-consuming thing. And that's honestly something that during the summer, whenever they weren't exactly coaching positions, they were inundating in what's going on. And they did a fantastic job of keeping the secret of the scheme change and everything else. So I'm really looking forward to year 2 in the scheme, because the defense looked really good. Everybody's going to point back just like they did in 2003 and look at the Texas Tech game and the Memphis game. The last year they're going to look at Arkansas and they're going to look at Alabama. That's going to happen. It's a lazy take, and it provides no growth. But remember, a fan believes that exactly where we are is how we're always going to be. No better, no worse. Any fluctuation in that is going to cause a reaction of some kind. And that is just not the case. The context is going to go like that as the season goes on. So I'm looking forward to seeing you two. Isheem Young comes in. Otis Reese is back. Tysheem Johnson. The box safeties are in an excellent position. AJ Finley's back. The corners of Markevious Brown and MJ Daniels, that's pretty huge as well. It will be interesting to see. Now, Sam Williams being gone, that is the loss of this, but we'll explain a little bit later on in the show exactly why that might not be, or at least the plan of how they're going to adjust to it or whatever they're going to do. So, hey, Ole Miss, Locked On Ole Miss Locked On Ole Miss podcast audience. This is Stephen Willis with an incredible app everyone who buys gas needs to know about. Get Upside. My listeners are earning cash back for every gallon of gas. Every time they fill up, just download the free Get Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now. Use the promo code SCORE for 25 cents off per gallon or more on your first fill up. Cash back. Don't pay full price at the pump anymore. Get cash back for using Get Upside. Just download the app for free and use the promo code SCORE for 25 cents per gallon more on your first tank. Some people who drive a lot are making as much as $200-300 a year cash back, and there's no catch. The cash back gets added right to your account, and you cash out anytime you want through your bank account, PayPal, gift card to Amazon or other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code SCORE to get 25 cents per gallon or more cash back on your first tank. The code is SCORE. Also, it's the New Year, so that means New Year's resolutions. If yours is getting fit or eating healthier, make sure you include Built Bar in your plan. Built Bar makes it easier to stick to your resolution because it tastes so good. You'll want to eat it, unlike other protein bars, which can be chalky, waxy, or taste like a chemical spill. Yeah, I do not want my candy bars tasting like the Joker, essentially. You want to eat healthy, but that gets boring. By week 3, you might be thinking this is just not worth it. Where's the chocolate? Well, Built Bars are 100% real chocolate. So here's an idea for the new year. Go to all your secret stashes at home, in the pantry, at the office, in the car, wherever. Throw out the sugary, calorie-filled treats and replace them with Built Bars. So when you're craving a snack or treat, you can reach for something that's healthy and tastes incredible. Even if you're not a huge fan of working out, you can at least eat something that tastes good and is good for you. That way, when you enjoy a delicious Built Bar, you can almost count it as a workout. So go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. All right, thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube's. Do us a favor, hit subscribe, hit like, hit the bell, and get notifications whenever we post a new video. It's good for you, it's real quick, and it's something you don't even have to think about. It just gets delivered to you. YouTube has an excellent notification system, and I recommend everybody uses it. Now, Jackson Dart and Michael Trigg. Everybody's wondering what's going on. Now, the first thing we need to say is there's 6 days until the deadline that they need to, or 5 days until the deadline that they need to enroll. That is Monday. So Monday at 5 o'clock. If nothing has happened by Monday, you know something is up, okay? So that's the date. Anything before that is premature, and you're basically worried about hypotheticals. Everything I am hearing over and over, like literally every piece of information, is about those two going to Ole Miss. I haven't seen anybody that is credible contradict that. Now, here are the two things that I'm actually worried about. And today it was posted that Wisconsin has become a major player for Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams doesn't necessarily have anything to do with Jackson Dart. If Jackson Dart wants to leave USC, he can. But if Caleb Williams does not leave USC, why would Jackson Dart leave USC? Just logically, what is going on? He's already registered for classes. It's basically the absentee policy at this point. So he's already in. He can go at any time, and he could do it on the last day if he needed to. He could probably do it after the last day, depending on the policy with attendance at USC. But Caleb Williams going there at least puts that thought in my head. It might mean nothing, but I've said this whole time that I believe Jackson Dart and the delay with Jackson Dart is because he wanted to be at USC, and he was waiting to see what Caleb Williams would do. Now, the reason Caleb Williams is at Wisconsin is real similar to what Fabian Lovett and Jerry Jones went through when they tried to transfer from Mississippi State to Ole Miss. Oklahoma's being a fly in the ointment, just period. And because of that, they're raising enough stink, they might cause a transfer to not be able to get into USC because of the NCAA. That is that worry. Now, and that is what could get Caleb Williams to Wisconsin, LSU, or anywhere else. Because it could also put a fly in the ointment in his plans. How long is he willing to let this charade continue? If Caleb Williams wants to just say, okay, forget USC, this is more trouble than it's worth, let's go to Wisconsin in the Big Ten and go. He can do that. He can do that fairly quickly, as long as their enrollment period is different. Caleb Williams, if they wanted to, UCLA is on the quarter system. He could wait out everything and end up transferring to UCLA and be there for spring football. So that could happen, and my concern with Jackson Dart is that would affect the USC thing, because I do believe Jackson Dart wants to be at USC. I think he had a good time at USC. And let's be honest, being the starting quarterback at USC is probably not a bad gig. And Lincoln Riley has done wonders with quarterbacks. He just has. Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, those are all guys that were on the podium. Everybody has short-term memory about Spencer Rattler, but that's three guys that were quite successful. So that is one concern. The other concern for me is BYU's just sitting out there. Much like you never discount a Manning from going to Ole Miss, you never discount somebody from Utah going to BYU. That pull of the home school, the ease of it, is there. And the longer this goes on, I fear that comfort of right down the road might be pulling on him just a little bit. Now, like I said, I have not seen literally an article that has him going any other place but Ole Miss. I think Michael Trigg is basically ready to go to Ole Miss. I think he's a larger piece of this puzzle than anybody is saying. I think he is the one that is locked in on Ole Miss because Lane Kiffin won the Mackey Award for Harrison Bryant at Florida Atlantic. If he could do that at Florida Atlantic, what could he do for Michael Trigg at Ole Miss? And that weapon is the tight end position with the Jalen Knox, with the J.J. Henry playing in the slot. That is going to be an interesting combination. And if you have a Jackson Dart back there, they're going to be very successful. Because remember, this offense likes to work within the hashes. A lot of people back in the day, like whenever we watched football back in 85, 86, even in the mid-90s, whatever, a lot of the football was played in the passing game outside the hashes. Now the passing game is inside the hashes. Everything is option routes. Everything has reads, and it's designed to beat whatever coverage is in front of you. Now, because of those two players are important. If you have a Michael Trigg, if you have a Jalen Knox, they can do a lot of damage. On the outside, I've said all the time, if 2020 wouldn't have happened and normal camps could have happened the way that they had every other year, Braylon Brown was about to shoot up the rankings. He is a Laquan Treadwell type receiver as far as dominance. If he wouldn't have gotten hurt last year, he would have played fairly considerably. And he was making a splash in fall camp, but because of Dontario, Braylon, and Jonathan kind of being the leaders and substituting was not really an option. I think we're going to substitute more this year, but it might just be series based. So you might have a rotation of 6, 7. But those players and this offense will be built and help a player like Michael Trigg, and it will make the offense go spread out even more, especially with Zach Evans in the backfield behind him. You have a chance to have the most loaded offense in Ole Miss history sitting back there. Now, it's all potential. You have to do it. You have to do it. It's all potential, but it's there. So it's something to keep an eye on what's going on. I'm ready for this football season. They got the schedule lined up. If you get Jackson Dart, he's got 6 games to get going, and then it gets difficult. You have a chance to really close this out and have a lot of confidence going into 2023 and beyond. So that is interesting. Also today, on his way back from visiting with Jackson Dart, he stopped by Louisiana and visited with Arch Manning, which a bunch of people said Lane Kiffin was trolling the New Orleans Saints, which that isn't the case. This is such a lazy take. Anyway, Blake, BetOnline would like to wish you a happy new betting year as we continue our march to the playoffs and beyond. BetOnline remains the #1 spot for all the best sports wagering action for 2022. New year and new updated desktop and mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use promo code LOCKEDON to get started. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all of your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. Now, everybody was waiting for the transfer portal to just kind of peter out. And we have literally 5 more days until the classes start, and it slows down at least a little bit. But Cameron Butler out of Miami of Ohio received an offer to transfer in. He's got, 5 days to do it. Or he could wait until the summer. This could be something that you just go through the spring and you transfer in after it was over. He's a guy that had last year 14 tackles for loss and 8 sacks or something like that. He's an N-type player. He's a Sam Williams type player. He's a Damon Clowney type player. I don't know if he's a Brandon Mack type player because we haven't seen him in this system. But he's somebody that can provide a little bit of pass rush and disruption in this 3-2-6, this wide end defense where on 3rd down and 3rd and long, they can really light you up by playing drop 8 and just putting a race car package out there and really stressing tackles by making them expand and give ground and open up holes in other locations. Because one player blitzing against a wide thing, you can get to the quarterback fairly easily. And Ole Miss was able to do that quite a bit last year. And a lot of times it was because a quarterback left the pocket a little early, they get happy feet, and then came Chance Campbell just shooting like a cannonball going after the quarterback. Cameron Butler is a Sam Williams type player. Now, he's not. I don't think he's Sam Williams. Sam Williams was a freak athlete. And I'm just upset that it took until Sam Williams was what would have been a fifth-year senior for the light to cut on for him. But he's somebody that if he comes in, he can provide a change of gear. Because what you're seeing at defensive end at Ole Miss right now is several different types of players that can play the same position. You have a Taiwan Malone and a J.J. Pegues whenever you need to get big, when you need to get sturdy. They're very athletic guys, can do a lot of things that way. You got race cars like Cedric Johnson, and maybe if he comes in, Cameron Butler or Damon Clowney. You got people that can go from the end inside. In our race car package, you might see several 230-pound defensive ends just because they're designed to pressure the offensive line in a certain way and make them do something that they might not want to do. It just kind of is what it is. And that is something to keep in mind with this defense. Now, I am a huge proponent of the 3-2-6 or the three safety defense, whatever you want to call it. I am a huge fan of it because what it does is it forces the other team to do what you want them to do. Now, Alabama came out against Ole Miss last year, and remember, Ole Miss did not have Jake Springer. They ended up having to move Keydron Smith inside to play a box safety that made the defense a little bit weird. Whenever Jake Springer got in and they got physical, all of a sudden you could see what the defense was actually capable of doing. So Alabama was able to play murder ball. I'm curious to see if they can do that next year. Next year they don't have a Brian Robinson. Next year they don't have a Jamison Williams. Yes, I know they have Jermaine Burton. Yes, I know they have Jahmyr Gibbs. But it's not the same team. And the way it's set up, that's a lot of passing that you're asking Bryce Young to do against that drop 8, which Ole Miss was able to pick him off last year. And Ole Miss, I imagine, is going to blitz him quite frequently this year because we did see that as a weakness moving towards the end of the season. So you'll see everything that's going on, and we'll try to get resolution. And like I said, we've got 5 days for Jackson Dart and Michael Trigg. Everything, literally everything I have seen points towards Ole Miss. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. It's the transfer portal. It's just a weird thing. Weird stuff happens. Jerry and Jones and Fab Lovett was locks too. The edit had already been released for Jerry and Ely. Or Jerry and Jones, sorry. So things can happen. So be patient. I know that is hard to do. And I know there are several people that might be a little bit emotionally immature. So don't lash out. Don't lash out. And also don't bite on the trolls that are trying to do something, because at the end of the day, you have to make the right decision for you. And whatever that means, we'll see. But I'm genuinely kind of ready to see what happens. Anyway, thank you for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We will continue over the next couple of days looking at the Jackson Dart, Michael Trigg saga as long as that plays out. Now, tune in to Locked On Bets with all your analysis and your boy Q and gambling insight, and from Lee Sterling of to talk about gambling that way. Give them a listen as well, and they will be able to help you out as this goes on. But I'm pretty excited about it. I'm still in the same spot I was. Don't listen to the doomsdayers. Don't listen to anything. You have 5 days. And in those 5 days, if you want to think about it, there's a weekend. There's a weekend you can move. People can get off to move you in. This might take a little bit of time. That's all I'm saying. He's got until Monday. All right. Anyway, I will talk to you tomorrow, tonight, Ole Miss and Arkansas, with a chance for Ole Miss to do a short turnaround and win another game. If they can get that one, there's a chance they can make it. People might get frustrated and say, oh, Ole Miss can't make the tournament, whatever. Last year, Coach O's team used a late season run to build for this year. This year, they're 17-2. They're playing South Carolina Thursday night on ESPN. So it's possible, it's important, it's relevant. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hotty toddy.